You're listening to Baptist Unleashed. Unleashed from man's opinion and approval, constrained by the love of Christ.
Coming to you from Kansas City, Missouri, this is the podcast that is ending tonight with cheesecake. Welcome to Baptist Unleashed, unleashed from man's opinion and approval, constrained by the love of Christ. I am so glad that you joined us today. You know, that cheesecake reference is the fact that I have some friends here, some of my dearest friends. They've been on the podcast before, but we actually have a super special treat because not only are they back on the podcast, but they brought their wives with them, and my wife is here, and I am in Kansas City, Missouri with them. We've been doing some work on Living United, and it's kind of a little bit of I don't know how you'd say it, symbolic, because there are only two teams, Brother Jeremiah, in the NFL that are 9-1. Your Kansas City Chiefs,
sir,
and my Detroit Lions, and I am excited about that.
I'm going to be praying for you.
Yeah, I'll be praying for you. We're both headed to the Super Bowl.
That's right.
And at that time, it's going to be a clash. And for one night, I will not be your friend.
That's okay. That's okay. I'll be your friend the next morning when we're sopping up your tears.
Oh, man. I'm going to go to the parade in Detroit and get mugged. So that'll be awesome. Well, Pastor Jeremiah Metzinger is here, along with his wife, Melissa. And we appreciate them and their friendship and their co-laboring with Living United Marriage Ministry, and then Pastor A.J. Potter and his wife, Karis, and then my wife, Melissa. And we are just glad that you are tuning in to Baptist Unleashed. And this is a special episode dealing with to say yes to a great marriage. And we hope that you will make that decision. All right. I didn't give you guys a chance to say anything yet. Do you have anything to add to the cheesecake or the football thing?
We're just glad to be here. Thank you for inviting us to be on the podcast.
Awesome. All right. Here is the title of today's episode, Say Yes to a Good Marriage, is based upon a principle that we see throughout the Bible, and we see it throughout nature. It begins really in the first few verses of the Bible, where God separated the light from the darkness. There is light and there is darkness. There is life and there is death. There is male and there is female. And in this universe, we have choices. In fact, our salvation, John 3:36, he that believeth on the Son hath everlasting life. He that believeth not the Son shall not see life, but the wrath of God abideth on him. We're either in life in Christ, or we're lost without him under the wrath of God. There's no middle ground. There's no biblical precedent of purgatory. And applying that to marriage, I believe, is super, super important. And it's important for this reason. In Matthew chapter 5, in the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus is talking about people who act as if there is some other way to handle a situation, like as if we can't just say yes to it, or we don't just say no to it, that we have to put some special yes on it, or some special reason that we can't say no. In fact, James referred to that mentality this way, that a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. And the quickest way to an unstable marriage and unstable life is to act as if I can't say yes to it, but I'm not going to say no to it. And this is what I want for everyone married here, or those that are going to get married. You have an opportunity to say yes to a good marriage, because I know you would never say no to a good marriage. No one's on here saying, yes, I choose to have a bad marriage. Have you all ever made that? Ever?
Never been a choice I've made.
Never been a choice you made. So that means your marriage has always been perfect. No, I don't think that's probably the case. It's because we're living in that maybe. We're living in acting as if we can't make the decision. And in Matthew chapter 5, verse 36, Jesus says, neither shalt thou swear by thy head, because thou canst not make one hair white or black. Let your communication be yea, yea, nay, nay, for whatsoever is more than these cometh of evil. And that is such an an amazing truth for me that I have an opportunity to say yes to what God wants, or I can make a foolish decision and say no, but to act as if I'm incapable, that really puts me in trouble. Mm-hmm. And I've asked these couples to come on here, and we're going to talk about some simple decisions that we can make today in our marriage. And Living United Marriage Ministry has been in existence now for almost 20 years. And we took the name Living United about 10 years ago. And there's three really key words to our ministry, and that's commitment, love, purpose. And I want to start out and get some feedback from the couples that are here. First of all, in this matter of commitment, this is a big one for me because a lack of commitment in my parents' marriage really impacted my life. And there was a time where I acted as if it was the worst thing. And although God doesn't like divorce, God brought some really good things in my life out of it. I don't think my dad should have made the decision to leave my mom, but through that, he really burned in my soul the commitment to say yes to commitment. And we got a deal, don't we, honey?
We do.
What's our deal?
We never bring up the word divorce.
Right.
It's not an option.
I know. And we're together.
Right.
And because of that,
we have to work on things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we care to work on things.
We do.
And there's been times where we've been through some rough patches.
Sure.
Even while I was pastor.
Yeah.
And having Living United.
Yes.
Having a marriage ministry doesn't make your marriage perfect, does it?
It does not.
But I know this, what's always made our marriage better is commitment.
Yeah. We only have one option, and that's working on making it better.
Yeah. Yeah, I've used the illustration before, like when you have a car and you can't trade it in, you're going to fix it up.
Right.
That's
or you're going to walk.
Is there anything you guys have we want to add to the idea of commitment before? Yeah, go ahead.
I have a couple weeks ago did a wedding, and a few years ago I started putting in the wedding vow section of the marriage ceremony a promise that I asked the groom and the bride is, do you, before God and these witnesses, always promise that you will always seek reconciliation and never seek divorce? And that I think that's been a good addition to the vows on that marriage day, that they would publicly state that in front of God first, in front of family, in front of friends, and to help them to remember and understand this is till death do us parts. And it's something that God has brought us together. And we're not just going to end this on some triviality, but we're going to be faithful and committed to this.
Yeah.
That's really good. I like that. What was how did you say it again?
That before God and these witnesses, do you promise or do you vow that you will always seek reconciliation in your marriage and never seek divorce?
Never seek divorce. I like that. That's really good. That's really good. I think of the fact that, Melissa and I, we have a responsibility to have a good marriage. It's our responsibility in that it's our ability. God's given us the ability to respond, like to work it out, to be able to produce it through the grace of Jesus Christ. We can have that kind of marriage. And I think, I think you would agree that it's more than just not getting divorced. It's deciding and choosing that we're going to work on having the best marriage that we possibly can, and never, not just to even unplug in conversation or in effort. We're going to respond to each other with our very best. And I think that kind of commitment will make a happy marriage. I really believe that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a few kind of fruits of that yes decision to commitment. And I kind of mentioned that first one, that like you then have a binary decision of commitment or not, or negligence. And then the thing that rolls off of that then is caring or indifference. And and that really engages you. And then the other binary I draw even from that is investment or luck. Like good marriages, it's not luck.
Yeah.
It's not, oh, she picked the rose and there's some magic robe, the lie of fairy tales in Hollywood. And it really takes, good marriages are because you've invested. It's not just a lucky thing. And then answers versus mystery, like that there are really answers to your problem. It's not just some mystery hanging out there. And that's what we want to do with Living United Marriage Ministry. In fact, this is a Baptist Unleashed episode, and we've batted around, but I want to make sure we do it in a good way, is to do a Living United podcast where we take some just simple things and just give some answers, because I've used this illustration in sermons before, how just one new bit of information can unlock truth, and now granted, sometimes it might seem like a mystery, but you can't act as if there's not an answer there, because there is an answer in God's word. And the illustration I use, and if you've heard this before, it ruins it because the answer. That's the point of this. But, a man leaves home, goes a little way, turns left, goes a little way, turns left, goes a little way, turns left. He returns home. There's two masked men waiting for him. Okay. Why did he leave home? And who are the two masked men? You all know the answer. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a mystery to you.
Sure.
I can say one word that will unlock that, where it's no longer, in other words, there's just an answer. And that's the way it is many times in our marriage, where we're living in that third spot and we don't want to say no. We can say yes, and we seek, and God gives us the answer. Okay, so you'll know why he left home, and you'll know who the two masked men are. He went a little way, turned left, went a little way, turned left, went a little way, turned left, returned home. Baseball.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. He hit a home run, and who are the two masked men?
Umpire and the catcher.
Yeah. Right away, it just boom. And that's the things that are unlocked. We were talking in some of the planning we were doing with Living United about those mind bender puzzles. I think of the one, there's like two horseshoes and then a chain and a ring around it, and you got to undo it. And if someone knows how to do it, man, they can just do it like that in a snap. If they don't, then they're going to spend a lot of time. And commitment is that then desire to care, to look, to realize there are answers, and then choose the right way. And the last one, and there are a few more that roll from this, but is action and sloth, like take some action. And that kind of leads me to the number 2 main heading under Living United, and saying yes to a good marriage. The first yes is commitment. The second yes would be love. I always say commitment keeps a marriage together, but love makes it great. And love is the matter of working at it.
I have an advantage, and I got to watch it happen. I'm a couple generations in, and we got to see it modeled. I got to watch my dad love my mom. I got to watch my grandfather love my grandmother, and they loved each other in a way that wasn't flashy and fun and all the things that Disney tries to make it out to be, or Hollywood tries to make it out to be. And so I'm thankful that I had the environment that I did to get to see what a real marriage was. And I remember by the time, I was 19, 20 years old, I thought that was the greatest deal in the whole world, to be able to spend my life with Melissa. And, what I love is that I have found in my relationship with Melissa that we both desire to put the work into loving each other, learning how, talking when it's hard to talk, learning how to communicate together, being willing to listen past what we hear and instead try to find out what the other is saying. And so those aren't always easy. And I think many times it'd be a lot easier just to, find a hobby or go do something else, and just kind of have, what we would call a marriage. But I'm thankful, specifically for Melissa, that she wants to know me and she wants me to know her. And so we we spend time getting to know each other. And I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, I did not have that advantage in the sense that my parents were apart before I was out of diapers. I have no memory of them being together. My mom never remarried till I was already married for many years. So I didn't get to watch it that way. And the thing that God's growing me in my understanding of those things, but I see love and working at it as that consistency and really maturity. We were talking a little bit during the planning this week about, in Titus 2, it says that the older men teach the younger men to be sober, and the older women to teach the younger women to be sober, because love really is, it's mature Christian love. You think about add your faith, virtue, knowledge, and 1 Corinthians 13, the greatest of these is charity, is love. And there is a real maturing of love where, I don't know how you guys are, but when my wife and I are having spats we shouldn't be having and arguments, it feels like we're 3 years old sometimes. It's embarrassing. I wouldn't ever want you guys to ever have to see that, because I'm being like a 3-year-old, or maybe 2.5. Yeah, something like that. You never act that way, though, right? No, I just never have seen you do that. But you get my point. Right. And a big part of love is that consistency and that willingness to say, I need to mature. Mm-hmm. And I mean, haven't we all witnessed teenage drama? Right. How teenagers can just sometimes make something out of nothing, and that, love kind of brings us past that.
Part of maturing is doing the hard thing, right?
Yes.
Right. And sometimes loving the right way is doing a hard thing, going against your flesh. You don't want to do this. I don't want to do this.
I'm glad that you pointed that out, though, because what you just said reminds every person listening that it doesn't take a good background or a pedigree or a heritage. It takes hard work, and it's going to take hard work if you had, 3 or 4 generations of a perfect example, or if you had no examples of how to do it. There's not a shortcut. No one's coming along to, to do a magic, give you a pass or something. It's going to take hard work, and a great marriage is reserved for those who are willing to put in the work with patience and commitment, but they will have to put in the work.
Yeah. And I was about to add before you spoke, Brother Jeremiah, is that when you had an example of a godly marriage, Brother Steve, you did not have an example of a godly marriage, but what a picture of God's grace, mercy, and long suffering to us, that we don't have to be the victim of our environment that we grew up in. That when we take God's word, and when we maybe accept Christ as Savior and allow Him to be the Lord of our life, He can take anything that, even if it was brought up in a broken environment, He can take that and turn that into a trophy of grace for Him. And just an amazing part of God's love for mankind, that He doesn't look at us and say, well, sorry, you got the short end of the stick. You grew up in a home that didn't have a good marriage, so that's what you're stuck with the rest of your life. That's not the God that we serve, and I'm so grateful for that.
That Amen. Really is, the ground is level at the cross. There's no head starts there.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah, and that actually reminds me, I don't think I mentioned this at the beginning about the yes and the no. And many times we're in that unstable area where we're like, well, I know I don't want a bad marriage, but the reason we don't say yes is because somehow we believe the yes isn't for us. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're listening today, you could have come from the roughest example. You could have been raised in 30 foster homes and suffered horrible things. And I hurt for you. It breaks my heart that happened. Right. It's because we live in a sin-cursed world. But today you can say yes. You can begin to take some paths toward repairing those things. And, I've met with many couples in my lifetime as a pastor and through Living United. And unfortunately, I've met with some couples that just act as if they can't do the right thing. And that's a lie, and it's not true. And my desire is everyone listens to that's married or someday will be married. will say, yes, I'm going to have a good marriage. Like, and that's the whole, one of my visions with Living United is create a pathway to living united, a pathway to a great marriage. And it begins with saying yes to that. So you're at a fork in the road today by listening to this podcast. Are you going to go the no route? Are you going to go the yes route? Because there's not another way. You're going to stand there and just wait and be unstable and frustrated. Say yes to a good marriage. It's awesome. But it's real work. Have you guys ever worked at something and then just enjoyed the benefit of it? We've flipped a few houses in our lifetime, and oh my soul, some of them repos and, pet nastiness, all ripping up carpets and putting down new flooring and painting and all this stuff, adding all new interior doors. And it's so much work, and it's late nights, and it's exhaustion. But I'll tell you what, when we were done, it was like lavish mansions, and good. They weren't. I mean, but they were. I mean, God blessed us with some nice homes, and that's just work. And man, I love where our marriage is at right now. It's going to be a work in progress, because anything tends toward disorder unless you put energy into it. And we're going to keep pumping energy and work into our marriage, because it's awesome. It's awesome. I can't get over how much Melissa means to me. These guys right here at our Chicago retreat. What was my famous phrase?
Melissa.
Melissa,
where's my
help me?
She is my helpmeet for sure. And I like to say it where I'm the one that needs the help. She just meets it, and that does not make her inferior. That makes her definitely what I need.
Yeah. I think the idea of hope the idea of work has a lot of hope to it. And, if I'm a victim of my situation, if I'm a victim of a bad marriage, then there's nothing I can do to fix it. And like you're describing today, you could have been saying no, as you're describing, or not saying yes for the last 4 or 5 years. And you could choose today to make a difference. How many times you talk with a couple and they're going through, hardship or heartache or even division in their home. And all it takes is one of them. It just takes the husband, or it just takes the wife to decide enough of this. And they set down whatever anger they've got or unforgiveness or whatever they're working through. And they just decide, this is going to get better. And it turns the whole thing around. And it's literally just the choice to have a great marriage. And that marriage starts to be produced. It starts to grow out of that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Amen. Well, we're going to move on to 3, and commitment. We talked about love, and then purpose. And that purpose aspect of marriage is key in the aspect that we don't want to make our marriage selfish. We want to make it service. We want to do something. And most marriages, God blesses with children. Sometimes he doesn't. And that's in God's hands. God opens and closes wombs. But even if you don't have children, that purpose can be serving in the local church. And if you have children, you still should invest your marriage. The purpose of your marriage is to raise a godly seed, a godly generation. But that is all then incorporated into serving in the church. The church and the family are not at odds with one another. And the thing I love about these men and ladies sitting at the table with my wife and I is they both really care about their kids, but they also care about ministry. And you might say, well, they're pastor families. Well, there's some pastor families that their families aren't involved in the ministry and they're somewhat disconnected. And I appreciate y'all's testimony of really making that yes decision, that of purpose, that we're gonna say yes to putting purpose to our marriage.
Yeah, I think when you talk about a marriage that has purpose, is recognizing, as Brother Metzinger had already alliterated to, that it takes work for it to happen. That a marriage has to be on purpose. It's not just an accident. It's not just you get that magic fairy dust at your wedding and then for the rest of your married life, everything is marital bliss. But you have to give work to it, and it takes purpose to have quality time. It's purposeful marriage to parent your kids right. It's purposeful marriage to have communication, and it's purposeful to marriage to forgive one another. And really, marriage, when we think of a marriage of purpose, is understanding that God has brought two people together. And you're never going to find two people that believe they're in the will of God standing at the marriage altar. You're never going to find two people that you can't convince that God has us here on purpose at this marriage altar. We're getting married today because this is God's purpose for my life. And they're excited about that, and they're thrilled about that. But the same God that brought them together on purpose at the wedding altar is the same God that can keep their marriage together on purpose for the next 5 years and 10 years and 20, till death do them part. And so really, living a purposeful marriage is having a marriage that understands what is my purpose. And when what is the marriage purpose of marriage? Well, it's to glorify the Lord. It's to glorify God. It's to, through my marriage, point others to Christ, and to be a co-laborer with Christ as we together serve. And it's a ministry of purpose to one another, that God has put my wife in my life so I can minister to her, and He's put me in her life to give her a full-time job of ministering to me. And that's just how it works. But it's a purposeful marriage. A purposeful marriage is a powerful marriage. And God uses people, kind of like Daniel. He purposed in his heart to do something, and God blessed it. And in marriage, it's no different if we have a purpose to live for.
Yeah, God put us together for a reason, and that is, in our Christian marriage, is that we glorify God, and that's through our kids, that we raise our kids to glorify and love the Lord, and that we are having that purpose, but also just in what does He have for us, that we can impact others for eternity. And I believe that's a purpose that when you go to the marriage altar that God gives you, that you can impact the world for Him. He has a purpose for them being married, and He has a purpose for you going through life and bringing others to Him.
Yeah. Something I've seen in both of your families, and I think it's common with my family, and I've spent quite a bit of time with you all and been in both your churches, been around your kids quite a bit, is that I just see that your kids love the church. They're part of it. They're into it. And I love that. And I wonder if there's anything you would say that you implemented and practiced in it. I know that I guess the way I would answer that question is like our kids were just like with us. They did those things with us. And again, they're ministry kids, but every couple in the church should be ministering to some degree. We have a family in our church. Well, he's one of my faithful listeners. In fact, he'll probably be the first person to listen to this podcast tonight because I'm going to post it late. But, he's always like, Pastor, can me and my family come up and set up for this fellowship and do this? And it's like, that's creating something in his kids that, and we have some great memories of just fun stuff as a family. We lived in the church for a little bit, and my wife filled the baptistry once, heated it up, and they swam in it because we had a huge baptistry at one time. We were making a hospital visit, and hospitals, about every door, every hospital room, they have hand sanitizer. And there was a day, they don't have much of this anymore. Have you ever been to the hospital where they have like the cans that are almost like Cool Whip, the foam? Yeah. So we walk out of this room, my wife takes some foam, cleans her hands, or I do, my wife does, my two older sons, they all take, and we're just like moving, and all of a sudden we're like making sure our kids are there. We look back. Zach's probably 3, 4, 5 at the time. He's literally covered in that foam because when it comes out, it's like so foamy and beautiful, and he had just let it keep coming, obviously, and he's just like covered in this, trying to wipe it off.
That's so.
You're going to say you've eaten it.
So he probably did eat some of it. I don't know, but yeah. So that's that's a great thing I see in you all. And I don't know if you had anything to add along those lines. And
Yeah, there's something that many years ago, I don't know if I was reading the Bible or I heard it in a message, but it's in 2 Kings chapter 4, where Elisha is talking to the widow woman.
You lost me, man.
just kidding. I shouldn't even edit this out. But inside joke, folks. Inside joke. Okay. We've had a long couple days here, but
So Elisha was, he had gone into this widow woman, and she was out of money, and she had nothing left but a pot of oil. And he says, "Go borrow the vessels abroad to all thy neighbors." This is in 2 Kings chapter 4. Of all thy neighbors, empty vessels, borrow not a few. When thou art come in, thou shalt shut the door upon thee and upon thy sons, and shalt pour out into all those vessels, and thou shalt set aside which is full. So she went from him and shut the door upon her and upon her sons. And just that principle of include your kids where God is at, include them in the work of the ministry. And so that was just a principle that I just try to carry with me as a pastor, of course, just involving my kids in the ministry, where Elisha, he didn't say, go do this yourself, but take your children, your sons, and shut the door, just you and your kids watching God do a miracle. And really that principle is really stuck with me all these years of it's don't make ministry a hardship. It's God. Your just kids get to see God at work, and what a blessing that is.
We've enjoyed serving with our kids. I think one of the byproducts has been like the area where Melissa and I find a lot of joy is, when the boys were little, that, we would go to the church and we just put them to work. Like they, before we had guys that showed up and turned all the lights on and all the stuff, my boys knew that routine, and we'd open the door and they could barely reach the switch, but they could get to the switch and they would get all the lights turned on, and I'd come through and inspect it, and we'd all high five, and they just did a perfect job and high five. And they loved that. And we tried to have that as part of their upbringing, that they were, they had an official role with us, And then I watch in my boys a desire, and now in Paisley, like they want a part where they can put their fingerprints on the ministry. Right. And so one of them has an interest in this particularly video or something, and they go after it. And the other one's in this instrument and in the orchestra, and they go after it. And I watch their interests develop in the environment of the church. And I think about how thankful and grateful we are that our church people invested and brought them in like actual parts of the body. And it's really beautiful.
Yep. I'm grateful for the good churches we get to pastor.
Isn't that right?
That is awesome. And a big part of growing our children and their love for the church is that they have good friends there. And I'm thankful for United Baptist people and the friends our kids have made at church through the years. Well, we're going to have to wrap things up, but we're going to go into the typical ending things. And I want to end, I'm going to put this online probably close to midnight on Tuesday night. I've been telling you, I'm committed to getting these out on Tuesday. In fact, I'll let you in a little secret. The guy that really said something that woke me up to making sure I do this is Brother Potter, who's sitting here right now. And
you're welcome, podcast world.
There you go, Brother Potter.
You've unleashed him.
Right. He's been unleashed.
But so here's the thing. We have our Living United Pastors Couples Retreat, and tomorrow, Wednesday night, November 20th, 2024, will be the increase of the price. It'll go up to how much? Or it'll go up
$30.
$30 more dollars.
Save $30.
Save
Register right now in the middle of the night.
At livingunited.com.
Yeah, but here's the thing, folks. Talk to your pastor. If you're listening to this, and let me just say, on November 20th, at midnight, the price goes up $30, but the 21st, the 22nd, the 23rd, you could still register him. It's just $30 more, but it would be worth him coming. And marriage, like we said, marriage takes work, and there are special stressors that pastors face.
And their wives.
And
And their wives.
That's right.
Yes, get that in there. Thank you, ladies. Our wives are sitting here. They haven't talked a ton, but and that's fine with me. They are really sitting here live though, and I'm just going to say, there just are things, and we address those. In fact, one of the reasons we met here these last couple of days is we spent a good chunk of time talking about at the pastor's retreat, how can we really address those things? And we're working on that. And this year is going to be a great year to see that happen and do that. And we hope you'd go to livingunited.com, check that out. And then before we do our sign-off prayer, we do our top 5 list. And I've asked our guests, and we're doing this as couples, and that is in our marriage relationship, what's our top 5 favorite restaurants to go on a date to? Like, what's our date places? And my wife and I do not have a super refined palate.
No, we don't.
We're pretty simple folks. And our number 5, we're going to share that, and then we'll just kind of go around, and everyone's going to share their 5, and then 4, 3, 2, 1. And do you want to share number 5, honey, or should I?
You go ahead.
All right, number 5. This is something that's happened of late, and it might show our age a little bit. And we're trying to be frugal, but our number 5 is Sam's Club.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Sam's Club it's our go-to lunch date.
It's so cheap.
It's literally $5, and we both eat, and we're both full.
I thought you were going to talk about when they're giving
And we
all the
can
free
grocery
samples.
shop.
Oh!
That's even
anything.
better. That's a bonus.
Yeah.
Appetizers.
Dessert.
Well, to really be effective at that, you bring about 3 disguises with you,
Yes,
and you go through,
back
grab it,
around.
and then you put on a different disguise, go through
Yeah.
again.
for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely. But Sam's Club, it's a big hit, and
A hot dog with sauerkraut.
Ooh.
yeah, I usually get a hot dog
Love
and a
it.
slice of pizza, and you get drink included. And then,
Love
man, the Sundays they have.
I've never had one.
Oh, they're good.
I've had one at Costco. And there is a difference in Costco and
Sam's Club.
Sam's Club, but yeah. All right, who's Brother Potter's number 5 here?
We have a coffee shop in town. We live in a really small town, Pleasantville, Iowa, and there's only a couple restaurants, and half of them aren't even open most of the time. So it's a coffee shop called Smoky Row. So it's just a quick, easy one place in town to go get a sandwich.
You can eat there.
And
Yep, they have food.
My wife
And
can
then
get some
really
coffee.
good coffee. Anything you can think
Did we
of.
go there with you
Yes,
guys?
We did.
Sure you did.
It's
Probably,
Okay,
yeah.
that
And
was-
they
If you've been to
roast-
Pleasantville,
They
was
roast
good.
their
been to
own
Smoky
coffee
Row
right
with us.
there.
And they have one in Pella
Good
too.
stuff, yeah.
Smoky
Yep.
Rose,
There's
I've been to
several.
one
Yep.
in Pella. That's good.
Yep, it's a go-to.
My
That's
wife's favorite. I'm gonna have to let her do it because
Yeah,
she
she
has
should.
a favorite. This is our
Yes.
babe. If you don't say something, they're not gonna think I'm married. They're gonna think I made this up.
We like to try different flavored waters from
Yeah.
Sonic.
Oh.
Yes.
Ooh,
Sonic.
Sonic.
We go to the Flavor Waters at Sonic, and we'll just sit and talk and
So, like, what
enjoy each other's
flavors?
company.
Mango peach is
Ooh.
our
Okay, I gotta try that.
Mango peach, and we double up on it, so we're real unhealthy about it.
Is it the ice?
It's the ice. It's the
Yeah.
you got to
Is
do
it
the big one, like the
carbonated
Route
one?
44 one,
Yeah.
and
That sounds
you
like, is it
know it's a big
carbonated?
spender one. You know you don't
Yeah.
want to. You
Is
would
it sweet?
you gotta make
You
sure you
go
got
when it's
paid
half
already.
off. You know,
Yes,
like
we
half
do
off
the half
drinks
off,
at,
yeah,
like after
yeah,
5
we
or
definitely do
2
that.
or
Listen to us,
If
ladies.
you do it on
Can
the
give me
app,
coupon?
you actually it's always
And you get-
half
do you get
price,
points?
so. I'm
When
sure
I
we
use my
do. I'm
McDonald's
sure we
app, I
do.
get points and I get free things.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
and that's
pretty
what we
cool.
do.
Free Fry Friday. That's
Free
what
Fry
it's my
Friday.
favorite.
I think at some point they would look at us and say, "It's water. Why do you need free water? Knock it off, man."
All right, number 4. Number 4 for us, it is
Taco Bell.
Taco Bell.
I love Taco Bell.
Oh, my wife loves her
Yeah.
some Taco
Forever
Bell. That
and
has
ever, I love Taco Bell.
been, yep. I don't
I
know
mean,
if we
it's-
have to say it's just an evident one. You
Yeah.
just have to have some
What else
Taco
can you
Bell.
say?
Yeah.
Our number 4, you have to drive to another small town about 20 minutes away, and it's a restaurant called Goldie's.
Mhm.
It has, they actually a few years ago won the best tasting tenderloin in the state of Iowa award. And it's a giant tenderloin that's like
That's
4
flavorful.
times bigger than the bun. So you get one, you cut it in half,
for an extra
and then
bun if you want it.
you can share it, and it's really really good.
And they have very good ice cream too.
ice cream.
What is
Awesome.
yours that you like to get?
I like the
Monster
monster cookie, blizzard, whatever they call
Nice.
it.
Wow.
Nice. I like it.
You have tomato and onion on your
I
pork
have
tenderloin?
mustard.
And that's it.
That's all. No veggies for me.
Ever. No veggies ever. The most responsible man I know. He never eats his vegetables.
Right.
Best thing ever. Yeah.
Who
Number
needs
4
those?
for us. Melissa, what is our number 4? Don't just point at it on the paper. She did not
Hey,
leave.
come
She's
back.
here at the microphone right
Come
now.
back now.
Come back now. So we like. She's not going to. We like Pal Indian Bistro in our town. We like Indian food there, and they have a lunch sampler thing, and we go in there, and we love that little place. It's just quiet, out of the way, but it's neat. And then there was a brand new place in Wichita. If you're ever going through, we had never had it before, and a preacher friend of ours introduced us to it, and it's called Meddy's. And it's Mediterranean food. It's kind of a fast food version of it. Kind of like a...
You know what else Wichita has?
What's that?
Taco Bell.
They do have a Taco Bell.
So I'll probably
That's
never go
awesome.
there. 'Cause they have Taco Bell.
I love it.
Because you probably can't get points for free fries.
You don't get points at Meddy's.
Well, but
you
you
don't
can-
get Not gonna work.
yes.
Not at Meddy's.
My wife is a cheap date. Sam's Club Taco
For real.
Bell.
Yeah,
For real.
tell us
That's
more.
awesome.
Here we go.
Yeah.
It's
That's
awesome
great.
meal. All right, number 3 for us is probably my favorite fast food restaurant, and we love to go there together. We love to go with our kids, and that is Culver's.
Mm.
Oh my soul! Their
Is that like
burgers,
where old people eat?
It is.
No, it's
It is.
not.
I've always
Oh,
heard
it is.
okay.
cheese curds. They have their custard, which is dynamite. But Culver's is, I call it high end fast food. That's like we're getting ritzy
They
now.
serve
We're getting
soup
bougie.
there, too.
They do.
Yeah,
You know,
Yeah.
you serve
They have-
soup. It's got to be
I don't
very
like
good.
fish, but I hear their fish is
If
good.
you can order a fish fillet, you're at high dining.
And you
That's
definitely
fine
are
dining.
in the older group too.
Yeah.
We are. We are. I'm embracing it.
Yeah. Me, okay, we're going. So Las Flores is a Mexican place in Indianola.
Ooh.
Another
Town
town
over.
about 20 minutes
Yeah,
away
we
from
just
us.
drive all over. But it's very good Mexican. There's several obviously choices that we could choose, but every time we go there, we're never disappointed. What do you always get?
I always get the chori
Chori
con pollo, if that's how you say it, which
Which
I'm
is
not
like
for sure.
sausage and
Yeah, the sausage, Mexican sausage,
Yeah.
and
Nice.
chicken and
Nice.
cheese sauce.
Yep.
No veggies. I
Good
asked.
No,
chips.
veg-
No
cut
beans.
that out.
They have
No
good
beans.
chips.
No
Not too
lettuce, no
thick.
sour
Good
cream.
to know.
It's all just meat and rice
Right
and
on.
cheese.
And
And I
you
take the
cannot
veggies
go
and the
wrong.
guac.
Oh,
I've seen you send plates back at a Mexican
Yes, you
restaurant because
have.
it had veggies. Yep.
I see
Lettuce
an
is
onion.
not a veggie. We quit
It's
calling
green.
lettuce a veggie.
I'm the guy that thinks a potato's a veggie.
That's
I get by with it.
Oh,
It grows in the ground, so that's good enough for me.
That's great.
All right, Metsingers.
Ours is a ramen bowl.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
We
Oh,
love ramen.
y'all are so bougie.
that's a great
Bougie.
one. We like ramen.
yeah.
Yeah, we like the ramen place. And there's a sushi joint too we like. It's really
Yes.
good.
You tried to take us for ramen the other day when at the Chicago retreat. It was closed down. Broke my heart.
Yeah, you were in tears. You were in
What is-
tears.
Go to Portillo's, baby.
What is your
Oh,
favorite type of ramen?
That's great.
Like
There's
flavor,
different types
yeah.
of ramen.
Yeah.
Or
I
what
don't like
meats?
the
Do they do the
meats.
meats and everything? Like
I
it's
just like
traditional.
I
The
like
5
the
cent
traditional
Walmart
pork.
brand
No,
with the
no,
chicken
no.
I like
flavor.
Totally
the,
different.
I like the pork bowl. That's usually what I get.
Do they let you choose what type of broth?
Yes.
Yeah, you can.
So a
That's
fun
traditional.
fact about ramen.
Nope. Here we
Earlier
go.
this year, we were able to take a survey mission trip with a young couple from our church to Japan,
Yeah.
which they serve ramen in Japan.
lots of
I
it.
ate ramen in
Lots of
Japan. So, a fun fact about that is you get all that broth and all the noodles. The Japanese only drink about half the broth because of the
Not
salt
healthy. Not healthy.
content is bad for your heart. So, they do
Wow.
not finish the broth. They mainly just eat the noodles. So, there you go.
That's
Fun fact about
awesome.
ramen.
Very good to
Really
know.
like.
High
Yeah,
sodium.
But they would
we're
drink the
slowly
broth.
killing ourselves here. That's excellent.
Yeah. I like it extra salt and a side of salt.
Mhm. So you're just not
Salt is good for you. All right, number 2. Qdoba. We call that high-end fast food. That's
We
like,
call it a Mexican Subway.
Mexican Subway. Their queso's good. Moe's is pretty. We don't have a Moe's
Yeah, I
though,
just went to
so
Lowe's
but
2 days
yeah,
ago.
Qdoba is our number 2.
Our number 2 is one of my wife's favorite, Olive Garden. Soup and salad.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Not
Said
salad for him.
Me never when I was ordering at Olive Garden.
He gets the chicken gnocchi and leaves the
gnocchi.
greens.
So
in
yeah, I
the-
don't eat the vegetables in there
Nope.
either.
Oh my word, AJ.
So I would take the breadstick and use this. You know?
That is.
I was
ate
gonna
the
ask the
gnocchi
soup question. Chicken
and the
gnocchi.
broth
That's the
and-
excuse to eat salt
Right.
and the
Okay.
parm. Like the Parmesan. They
Yeah.
Yeah.
they're like, tell me when, and I'm like,
Never.
I'm like that commercial. They're usually
Yeah, that's
it
right.
gets uncomfortable for all of us. It's just like, that's chicken gnocchi's time to put on the parm, and then you put a bunch of salt.
Hilarious.
It's just and then dip the breadstick. All right,
Yep. Okay.
That's good.
Metzinger.
So we like a little spot in Lawrence, Kansas. We did like a little spot. We found out like a month ago. We went to find it. It's closed. It was the Sushi Train.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It brings it around.
Yeah, but so since COVID, they had killed the train. The train
man.
died.
My train.
But it still does great sushi. Yeah.
That's the sound of a dying train.
I'm the sound effect man too.
That's right.
They had to cut budgets, fire our sound effects. Had to lay off our sound effects guy. But
That sounds
you guys had bad fortune with sushi restaurants because
That's
that was
true.
that ramen place shut down that we
That's
tried to
right.
go to. And
That's right. Yeah.
wow, if you're listening to this, you own a sushi place. Just hope
That
the
is
Metsingers
right.
don't
That's
show
right.
up.
We are the kiss of death
Yeah.
if you have a sushi. That's right.
Or if you're an evangelist, don't get Brother Metzinger's counsel. Anyways, but that's an inside joke.
You'll be a pastor soon.
Yeah. Should we talk about that?
No, we should go to number
It's-
one.
All right, let's go to
Because
number one.
number one-
Let's
wait.
do our number one last. No?
Wait, is
We
it
need
Wendy's,
our number one right
McDonald's?
now.
Okay,
number
our number
one is waiting in the
our
wings.
number one is
Cheesecake Factory.
Cheesecake Factory.
Yes.
I love Cheesecake
And like I
Factory.
said, this is the podcast that's going to end with cheesecake because we went out for a
Mhm.
nice dinner tonight at Cheesecake Factory.
Cinnabon for me.
on a
I'm
triple date,
looking at it right now.
and we got cheesecake to go, and we're just dying to eat it.
We were watching it.
and
Oh,
here
on
we
the
are
shelf.
talking.
Hey, what?
we
Everyone
could be
say what?
eating.
Right now.
I got the raspberry lemon. Oh, the mixture of flavor. Oh, I love the sour sweet combo. It's awesome.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, Snickers bar all the way from
yeah, that's what you got.
Gotta be a
Yeah.
Snickers.
I got the vegan.
Or
not.
Yeah.
It's just a stick of lettuce. It's like a whole stick of celery
Which is
in there.
not
This box.
a vegetable. I've heard lettuce.
That's
isn't.
right.
Somebody once told me.
Our number
One.
five. Are we five or one? What are we doing?
One.
Number,
I mean, whatever.
whatever it is. The top one
Yes.
is Johnny's Italian Steakhouse.
Do you guys
It's-
ever, those?
It
No,
might be
I've
a
never
Des
heard
Moines.
of
It's in
it.
Des Moines. It's
There's
about
a couple
a town
of them.
about 30 minutes from us that we go to eat at a different restaurant. So,
Johnny's has the best like focaccia bread and like dipping olive oil and the parm and the
Oh,
black
that sounds
pepper.
good.
Mm.
And then their food is really good too. But like I would just go to eat the whole thing of that.
Mhm.
Can we have more?
I
of
love how you describe Des Moines. It's literally the largest city and capital of your state. You're like, yeah, it's just a town.
another town about 30
Obviously, the
minutes.
world revolves around Pleasantville.
Right.
It doesn't?
Des Moines, just some town.
It's a little town near us.
Anyway, it's
That's
good food,
awesome.
Good food. What do you normally
And
get?
last, what? Oh, yeah,
Never mind.
steak. I was going to say last but not least.
Okay,
Dun, dun,
so
dun.
this is
Segue to the method.
our number one. We actually got to share with this crew right here when we were in Chicago this last month, and we love Jenny's ice cream.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we love good.
I do love
What
it.
did
That
we
was
have?
good.
What did we
Ice
have?
cream.
The weird
Oh my
Sage.
goodness!
flavors?
Sage and
Yes.
sage cheesecake.
Basil.
Something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bay leaf.
Bay
leaf.
Bay leaf.
I had bath soap. Oh, maybe they didn't,
Oh, wait,
maybe
wait.
they didn't have that flavor.
Gooey
Never
butter
mind.
cake.
I had that gooey butter cake.
Oh,
That's been
it
my
was so
go-to for
good.
years. I love
Yeah,
that.
that's good stuff.
I can't eat basil because it's cannibalistic.
That's cannibalism.
It really
You're
is,
not allowed
but-
to do that.
My middle name's Basil, if you don't know the joke there. Well, we have enjoyed this time, and we are signing off to have some cheesecake. But our prayer for you is that he would grant you, according to the riches of his glory, to be strengthened with might by his Spirit in the inner man, that Christ may dwell in your hearts by faith, that ye being rooted and grounded in love may be able to comprehend with all saints what is the breadth and length and depth and height, and to know the love of Christ which passeth knowledge, that ye may be filled with all the fullness of God. Now unto him that's able to do exceeding abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that worketh in us. Unto him be glory in the church by Christ Jesus throughout all ages, world without end. Amen.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Baptist Unleashed. And remember, Baptist Unleashed is more than a podcast. It is a way of life.